What's up, Internet? This is Adam. Today is Wednesday, November 18th. Thank you so much for watching Hot Button Hashtags. Today's video, we're going to talk about another heavy subject, and that is the Syrian refugee crisis. Obviously, everybody's been talking about it since last week's attacks in Paris. The president's weighing in. Governors are saying they're not accepting refugees. Seems like Facebook and Twitter are filled with articles and opinions. And so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I've been wrestling through as I personally think about this issue. See, the issue isn't as cut and dried for me. Like, it's not it's a all yes or all no issue, because I think there are valid points on both sides. On one side, you have this kind of this sort of head issue. I'll call it like a head and a heart issue. The head issue that says, you know what, if you bought 100 grapes and you knew 2 of them were poisoned, would you eat them? No. You know, we already have examples of ISIS using this refugee crisis to infiltrate areas to cause terror. I mean, we saw it in Paris. Why could that not happen in America, right? And so we process these things and we think, well, okay, that makes sense. But then there's this heart side of things. And the heart side of things for me is largely faith-driven, right? Like, I'm a follower of Jesus, and when I read the Bible, I just see verse after verse after verse of things like, you know, caring for the foreigner in the land and the refugee, and caring for your neighbor who is different than you. And so there's this heart issue, and I'm like, well, now that makes sense. And so this isn't an easy issue for me. So as I've processed it, here's kind of what I've come to. First thing I'll talk about is what should our government do? Again, this is totally my opinion. First of all, I think we have to ensure that the process for vetting people who are coming to America as refugees is as ironclad as possible. We have to do our due diligence as well as we can to ensure that every person who comes into our country as a refugee is here because of that and not here for other nefarious reasons, right? So that, for me, is number one. But if that is happening, my personal belief, let them in. Like let's be this shining light on a hill. Let's be the place that people around the world want to come to and aspire to go to because of how great of a country we are. Like, I am not a close the doors on people kind of guy. I don't think we should just let in Christian refugees. Do I think we should let in Christian refugees? Absolutely. But I think we should let in any refugee of any religion from any country that has gone through the process, as long as we can ensure that process is, like I said, as ironclad as possible. And then the second part would be, okay, well, what about me personally? You know, what do I think I would do? You know, Sherry and I talked about this. This is something that not just we've read about, it's something that we've had a conversation over dinner about. You know, if we got a phone call or we read that there were Syrian refugees in Anchorage who needed space, we would want to open up our home. We'd want to say, you know, we have a guest room. We have an office with an air mattress. Like come be with us, eat our food, live in our home, like be around us, be safe here. Like, let this be a soft spot to land for you and your family. And that is largely driven because of our worldview. You know, as followers of Jesus, the Bible and Christianity, that's kind of the lens that we look at the world through, right? The teachings of Jesus. And like I mentioned earlier, I personally can't read the scripture and come away with a heart that is in any way hardened towards refugees. Christianity for me is pretty inconvenient. What I mean by that is not that it's bad, because it's amazing. What I mean by that is that I'm often asked to do things that are not what I, in my comfort, would want to do. I'm asked to do things that cause me to lift my eyes to things that are bigger than myself. And those things are often uncomfortable. And so what I've been reminded as I've processed this whole Syrian refugee thing, as far as my faith goes, that I need to value things like mercy over comfort. You know, if I have an opportunity to show mercy to somebody who the Lord has brought into my path, I need to choose that even if it's uncomfortable. Right? And the second thing is that I need to choose kindness over my own safety, or compassion over my own safety. That's one of the things that I think the dangers of this whole crisis is, that it can cause us to live in a place of fear, where we say, well, I don't want to do any of this stuff because potentially a bad thing could happen. And what ends up happening is we end up doing no good. We do no good things because of this potential fear. And so we're living out of a place of fear. And that is not anything that I ever want to do. Right? And I think most people probably don't want to do that either. So for me, it's choosing compassion over safety. It's choosing mercy when maybe I normally wouldn't. It's a heavy issue because what we're talking about are people's lives, right? Like, it's not just a refugee, it's not just a number on a UN card. I mean, these are people and their families, and the vast majority of them are people who have experienced horror and terror and displacement and uprooting and just terrible things. And so for me, that's what I think about the issue. I think it's a hard issue. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this in the comments below. The one thing I request, though, is please keep it civil. I know there's people watching this who fall on both sides of this. Let's have a discussion that brings out the best, maybe, of both sides. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hop on hashtags, and we'll see you guys on Friday with Matt's video.